Friday, February 28th, 2025. Washington, the White House. In the Oval Office, Donald Trump and Volodymyr Zelensky shake hands under the glare of the cameras. Officially, the meeting is being held to discuss the war in Ukraine and negotiate a deal on rare earth minerals. But something in the air suggests this won't be just another diplomatic negotiation. What is about to unfold will go down in history, an unprecedented showdown where words will carry the weight of weapons and tensions will reach levels never seen before on live television and across the web between two world leaders. The meeting didn't get off to the best start. Even before stepping into the Oval Office, Trump greeted the Ukrainian president with an ironic remark about his outfit. What seemed like a light-hearted comment quickly gave way to a tense exchange, with both leaders repeatedly interrupting each other and raising their voices. After more than 45 minutes of heated discussion, Zelensky left the White House earlier than expected without being escorted to the exit by his hosts. The rare earth deal collapsed, leaving behind uncertainty and unanswered questions about the future of relations between the two nations. Trump later stated he was considering halting military aid shipments to Ukraine. His position was clear. He's not ready for peace. He can come back when he is. Reactions came swiftly. European leaders expressed solidarity with Ukraine, while Moscow called the meeting historic. But what ideas and political strategies lie behind Trump's stance? The long-term consequences of this confrontation remain to be seen. But for now, we will analyze the philosophical context that may have shaped its course. What lies behind the words and actions of the American president? During his meeting with Zelensky, Trump displayed an approach deeply rooted in the political realism of Machiavelli and Carl Schmitt, prioritizing pragmatism over moral considerations. The idea that politics is defined by power dynamics and strategic calculation is evident in his stance. As Machiavelli famously wrote, "The end justifies the means," implying that a leader must be willing to make unpopular decisions to ensure success. Schmitt, on the other hand, stated that sovereign is he who decides on the state of exception, and Trump seems to embody this perspective, positioning himself as the only one capable of resolving the conflict on his own terms. The belief that power is the key to political dominance closely aligns with Nietzsche's philosophy and his concept of the will to power. Trump doesn't merely propose a deal, he asserts that under his leadership, the war would never have started in the first place. This conviction echoes Nietzsche's idea of the Übermensch, the superior individual who shapes reality through sheer force of will. For Nietzsche, true dominance belongs to those who can impose their vision upon the world. Trump's rhetoric follows a similar logic. Peace is not achieved through weakness, but through a demonstration of superiority. Another key element is Thomas Hobbes's vision of nationalism, where the absolute priority of a state should be its own security and well-being. When Trump insists that America should not involve itself in conflicts that do not directly affect it, he echoes Hobbes's principle that a ruler's primary duty is to ensure the survival of his own nation above all else. In Deceive, Hobbes revisits Plautus's ancient Latin phrase homo homini lupus to describe the state of nature as a condition of perpetual conflict. Trump's rhetoric seems to follow this same logic. International politics is a battle for survival, and the only way to win is by protecting one's own interests. before considering those of others. Carl Schmitt's concept of decisionism resurfaces, where a true leader is one who makes decisive choices without waiting for external approval. Trump does not present himself as a conventional negotiator, but as a strongman who imposes his will. According to Schmitt, every significant concept in the theory of the state is a secularized theological concept, suggesting that political power carries an almost sacred dimension. Trump appears to embody this idea, positioning himself as the central figure around which everything revolves. Trump's way of expressing himself also reflects the radical individualism of Max Stirner, who saw the ego as the true center of political reality. Stirner argued that the unique one is everything to himself, and Trump's rhetoric follows this logic. His worldview is deeply personalized, filtering every political event through his own role and perspective. A crucial aspect of Trump's communication is his strategic use of language, which aligns with Michel Foucault's theories. Foucault explained that power is not an institution, but a strategic complex, and Trump's discourse demonstrates how words can shape the perception of reality. Through repeated assertions, the ridicule of opponents, and the construction of a narrative that places himself at the center of events, language becomes a tool of control and influence. Guy Debord's concept of the society of the spectacle provides another key to understanding Trump's approach. He is not just a politician, but a performer who seizes every opportunity to reinforce his public image. Debord famously stated that everything that was directly lived has moved away into a representation, and the meeting with Zelensky turned into a theatrical scene where politics became a spectacle for the audience. Another central element is populism, analyzed by Ernesto Laclau. Trump positions himself as the defender of the people against the elites, creating a clear divide between us and them. Laclau explained that populism is not a political content, but a political logic, emphasizing how this strategy builds collective identity through opposition to a common enemy. In Trump's case, political elites, mainstream media, and even some international allies become the adversaries of an America seeking to reclaim its power. Noam Chomsky, with his analysis of political manipulation, offers a compelling perspective on how Trump uses the media. Chomsky argued that propaganda is to democracy what violence is to dictatorship, highlighting how controlling information is a fundamental tool for shaping public opinion. Through targeted statements, selective focus on key topics, and the systematic delegitimization of opponents, Trump crafts a political narrative that molds public discourse to his advantage, perfectly embodying this dynamic. And it is precisely this narrative construction that defined the meeting between Trump and Zelensky. The American side seemed intent on provoking a confrontation, commented Daniel Fried, former U.S. ambassador to Poland, highlighting the apparent contradiction between the meeting's stated purpose and how it actually unfolded. Signing a minerals agreement while simultaneously turning the Oval Office into a political battleground raises many questions about the White House's true intentions. Trump's supporters in Congress interpreted the meeting as a show of strength and a reaffirmation of the America First doctrine, seeing it as an assertion of U.S. power. Others, however, viewed it as a clear signal of disengagement from Kyiv and a justification for scaling back or cutting off American aid. Not everyone saw this confrontation as an act of strength. What I have seen over the past 6 weeks is that the United States has behaved disgracefully toward our friends in Canada and Mexico, disgracefully toward our friends in Europe. And today, we hit rock bottom, disgracefully toward a man who is defending Western values at great personal risk to himself and his people, said David Brooks, a columnist for the New York Times, warning that Trump's foreign policy may be undermining America's historic alliances. Yale historian Timothy Snyder also pointed out that Trump's intimidation-based political style may work domestically, but risks eroding trust in the U.S. among its allies. They simply conclude that they cannot rely on us, he explained, emphasizing that applying the same approach to major powers like Russia and China offers no strategic advantage. In fact, according to Snyder, America's position of strength has significantly weakened in recent weeks. In light of all this, the question remains: what are the broader implications of this showdown? Was Trump's strategy a calculated display of strength, or a break with the past that will redefine global power dynamics? Did the confrontation with Zelensky reflect a clear vision of power, or was it the result of an impulsive and unpredictable approach? Does Trump's stance on the Ukraine conflict mark the beginning of a more pragmatic foreign policy, or does it risk undermining the international order built on long-standing alliances